TOS TV Network mobile app is now available. You can now catch up on our breaking news, stream our programs live, watch out for the latest update on sports and politics as they unfold. You can also get notifications for our upcoming programs and events. All these on our TOS TV Network mobile app, available on Apple Store and Google Play Store. TOS TV News from Africa by Africans.
Hello everyone, welcome to today's episode of the Osasu Show. Despite the state of emergency declared on sexual and gender-based violence across the 36 states of the nation and the FCT by the Nigeria Governors Forum, we continue to see an increase in number of rape cases across Nigeria. On today's program, we'll be talking with the Director General of the agency, which is mandated to oversee all violence against persons prohibition in Nigeria. Julie Okah-Donli will be speaking to us about what her agency is doing to interact and domesticate this law. Don't go anywhere. It promises to be a very educative episode.
The incessant reports of rape and sexual offences in recent times is indeed worrisome. Are you a victim? It may be rape, incest, sexual abuse or sodomy. I have good news for you. NAPTIP implements the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act, and we now have the National Sexual Offenders Register, which records the names of all perpetrators. This register aims to name and shame all perpetrators to serve as a deterrent. If you are a victim, seek help now, and we assure you that justice will be served.
Register sexual abuse cases and perpetrators on www.nsod.naptip.gov.ng or call the Sexual Offenders Register hotline on 0703 0000 203 or NAPTIP hotlines on 0803 220 3462. 0818 384 6635, social media platforms and iReport app. This message is brought to you by NAPTIP with support from ROLAC, funded by the European Union.
Director General of the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, Dame Julie Okah-Donli, welcome to the Osasu Show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, most welcome, DG. Can you talk to us about this sex offenders register that the NAPTIP has created across the 36 states of the nation and the FCT?
Yeah, the Sexual Offenders Register is a register that was launched by NAPTIP last year with all our partners, like the Honorable Minister for Women Affairs, the Minister for Humanitarian Affairs, Minister for Sport. A whole lot of partners came together to launch this very important register. As you may know, the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act 2015 is domiciled in NAPTIP, and by virtue of Section 1 subsection 4, it gives NAPTIP the power to set up a sexual offenders register. And this register has three parts. One part has all the names of convicted sexual offenders. The other part has names of all those who have been arrested for various forms of sexual offense. And the third part has a list of service providers, like where to get counselors, where to get psychosocial support, where to get NGOs that have shelters, and so on and so forth. So that is basically what this sexual offenders register is all about. I mean, it is Nigeria's sexual offenders register. You cannot have two of these register in Nigeria. Other agencies are allowed to have a database. Of course, everyone must have data, but there's only one authentic sexual offenders register, which is domiciled in NAPTIP. Our partners have spent so much money, ROLAC to be precise, so much money to ensure that they carried out training, of officers in all these agencies and all amongst our various stakeholders. We have a platform, very easy, where all of us partners can share information. So, for example, if you have arrested 50 sex offenders or you have convictions, all you need to do is to key it in, and NAPTIP has a comprehensive offender. So we are meant to complement each other, work together, rather than opening various registers all over the place, because it's only NAPTIP that has the power by virtue of Section 1, Section 4 of the BAP Act to open a sexual offenders register.
I love the fact that you talked about the psychosocial support that this register gives to the victims of sexual and gender-based violence. How are you partnering with the state governments to ensure the implementation of these psychosocial services?
Well, the good thing is that we already have the register, and the register shows you where to go to. If, for example, you do not come through NAPTIP, for example, because when we arrest perpetrators, we rescue victims immediately and put them in our shelters, and it comes automatically with psychosocial support. So while these victims are in our shelters, we give them psychosocial support, we give them medical support, and of course we empower them before they leave the shelters. So it's just something that flows automatically. It's part of the system. There's a protocol for sheltering, and NAPTIP follows those protocols. So in the event that, for example, you report a case of rape to the Nigerian police, they don't have shelters. But if you go through the sexual offenders register, most of the time maybe an NGO is the one who has taken a case and reported. If you go through the sexual offenders register, you find all the service providers there to give free psychosocial support, sheltering, and all of that. So all those services are there.
I work in the NGO sector as well via the Osasu Foundation, and one thing that we found is that there isn't enough capacity at the state level to house all victims of sexual and gender-based violence. So yes, NAPTIP shelters are good, but they are not enough. So how are you partnering with the state government to ensure that more shelters are built that have the competent psychosocial services for these victims?
Yeah, of course, we cannot shelter everybody. That's out of the question. And that is why we partner with NGOs, to ensure that we shelter them. In all the states, for example, we partner with the Ministries of Women Affairs. They have huge shelters that most of the time are really underutilized. So we partner with all of them, to ensure that we use their shelters, whenever we have a spillover. The state governments now, I'm very happy, most of them have decided to domesticate the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act. And so once that is done, it's easier for us to all work, and speak with one language, where we now encourage them to build huge shelters that can take as many people as possible. That is not to say we are hoping for an upsurge in number of rape cases, but it's always good to have adequate preparation in case of the unexpected.
How would you rate the state government? And I apologize because I continuously refer to the state governments because we know that any issue that we want to tackle, we must tackle its root causes. And the state governors are the executives, chief executive officers of their states and chief security officers of their states. So when we see this incessant increase in rape cases, it becomes, we wonder, we start to ask questions. Are the governors doing enough? So how would you rate the state governors and the state government in general in the fight against sexual and gender-based violence?
Well, I can say this without any fear of contradiction, that Lagos State, Ekiti State, Kaduna State, and Plateau State are doing a very good job when it comes to cases of sexual and gender-based violence. And I'm hoping that they will be able to encourage their colleagues in other states to do same. I know for a fact that most of them have got a sexual assault referral centers. They work with, shelters, of course. And then I know that they've been working closely with the police as well in their states, and they monitor. There's one thing to work with the law enforcement, but there's another thing to monitor to ensure that justice is gotten for these girls. So, I mean, they're doing quite very well. The We also have the sexual offenders register in the states, and I think in Lagos, I'm not sure, Kaduna and Plateau states, where they name and shame perpetrators of this. And from their sexual offenders register, we're able to feed in the Nigeria Sexual Offenders Register here in NAPTIP. So we expect all of them to do this, so that we can work very well.
You recently made a controversial statement that caused some uproar on the internet, that the boy child is more at risk than the girl child when it comes to issues of rape. Do you have any facts to back that statement up?
Well, I'm not even aware it was a controversial statement, but it was a statement of fact. Reason being that we all concentrate on the girl child. I'll give you an example. 4 years ago, when I celebrated my 50th birthday, I wrote a book called Parenting in the 21st Century. And I was just going through the book, and I realized that more attention, even me, was focused on the girl child. So we miss out a lot of information, when we focus so much on the girl child, forgetting that these boys are equally at risk as children as well. Even mature boys, like adults, are usually at risk. I'll give you an example. An adult guy is really, desperately looking for a job. There are older men who take advantage of them. They lock them up and they rape them. But because in Nigeria, homosexuality is a crime, and homosexuality is also an abomination, you find it very difficult for any man to come and say, when I went to meet Chief blah, 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 or when I went to meet Professor blah, 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 I was raped. It will be very difficult for guys to tell you they were raped. But I can tell you that a lot of little boys are being raped as much as the girls every day. But the problem is lack of attention to these boys and lack of reportage as well. Are
you speaking from the reports that you are getting as the Director General of NAPTIP? So the 50%, you're saying as much boys are being raped on a daily basis as the girl child. So are you speaking from the reports that you're getting? 50% of the reports being leveled at the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons are 50% male regarding sexual and gender-based violence?
Well, unfortunately, most of the cases involving boys are not reported because most people don't want the men that are raping boys to be shamed or named. So we have a few cases where parents are bold enough to come out to say, my son was raped by this man. So we have few cases, but I know that there are many more boys that are being raped by men on a daily basis, especially boys that are found on the streets because they are vulnerable.
So is this an informal
Is
this an informal survey that the agency carried out on its own? Because I want to know, because before we make these remarks, we need to know if a survey has actually been done so we can tackle it at its root causes.
Well, there was a survey which we carried out some time ago, and we realized that a lot of boys on the streets, especially boys on the street, are usually raped. That's just the truth. They are usually raped, but they are not reported. And then that's why, of course, most traffic victims too, who are boys and men, are also raped, as reported by some of them. So that's the fact.
Director General, despite our fervent campaign and sensitization against the issue of rape and gender-based violence across the country, we continue to see an increase in these cases. Are we doing enough? What needs to be changed in order to quell this incessant crime that has plagued the entire nation?
Well, I think the major things that need to be changed is this culture of violence. As much as we have some people coming out to speak, we still have a lot of people that do not talk about it. We need to change the narratives. We need to change the mindset. People must feel comfortable enough to come out to report cases of rape. It's very important because if the cases are not reported, how are we going to arrest or investigate or prosecute? So people need to break this culture of violence, and people need to stop this idea of settling cases out of court in the family way, in the church way, in community way. There's nothing like that. This is a crime against the state. So we should stop, thinking of setting cases of rape in the family way. We've had so many cases where the perpetrators will now come and tell us, well, the victim's family decided to settle it in a family way. The victim's family will come and tell us, oh, sorry, we decided to settle it in a family way. Or I was summoned by my community leader. I was summoned by my pastor. I was summoned by my imam. I was summoned, and all of that, which is very wrong. So going forward, I'm moving to make an amendment to that law that anybody tries to even settle, who attempts to settle it, will be prosecuted straight away.
Speaking about settling, DG, we saw a case recently of popular musician D'banj, who was accused of raping a young girl. And she was arrested by the police, the Nigerian police force, and she was locked up by D'banj's manager, and allegedly she was, her rights were taken away from her. So people who are victims of this gender and sexual-based violence that see cases like this are obviously more prone to either settle out of, the regular establishment, or just necessarily, not take up the case. So what is NAPTIP doing? What capacity have you been able to develop in your staff to ensure that this doesn't repeat itself across other states of the Federation?
Well, without sounding like one blowing my trumpet, which of course I should do because no one else will do it for me, I can tell you for a fact that no NAPTIP officer can ever try that. We have well-trained NAPTIP officers, very professional in their approach towards this response. They can never lock up somebody. In fact, as a matter of fact, we had a case like that where an NGO brought a matter to us telling us that because of this lady reported someone raped her to the police came and arrested her and locked her up, and they just bailed her. And I went and I got this guy and locked him up, to send a strong signal, because that is what some of them do. When you make a report, they now tell you you're defaming their character, and they quickly go to the police to go and arrest this girl. So we're going to carry out sensitization campaigns to tell people that, look, come out and speak, and anyone who harasses you or even attempts to arrest you will be arrested and prosecuted straight away. This campaign is going to go on. Unfortunately, we only have the VAT Act that is that is applicable in the FCT. So our jurisdiction does not extend out of the FCT. But be that as it may, we as a law enforcement agency would work closely with the Nigerian police to make sure that we have joint training sessions to ensure that things like this don't happen again. I'm very happy the social media, people are very, very active in the social media. So when infractions like this take place, they report it. So any infraction like this that takes place, please report it so that we can tackle it and ensure that it never happens again. I can assure you that these infractions that are taking place in some other law enforcement agencies going forward will no longer take place, because everyone now, is on their toes. Everyone knows that Nigerians are watching. These are taking the front burner. Nigerians are watching your moves. So any single infraction by any law enforcement agency will be dealt with seriously. And even in a case where it is not NAPTIP's case, I will ensure that a lawyer from the NAPTIP office conducts a watching brief to ensure that the cases are prosecuted diligently.
DG, for the purposes of clarity, let me just confirm, the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons only has jurisdiction over the Federal Capital Territory and not the other states that have domesticated the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act?
No. The National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons has jurisdiction in 36 states because the trafficking law is a federal law. Now, the violence against, and that is for all cases of human trafficking. Now, the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act is a law that deals with sexual and gender-based violence, but it is applicable only in the FCT, and that is why all of our states are being asked to domesticate the act in their states so that it can be of federal application. But in my opinion, I would even think it would be better to make the VAT Act a federal law. Reason being that if the VAT Act is to be domesticated in various states, some states may not domesticate it in whole. They may take out a portion, and leave a portion. And so you will find a situation where in Abuja, for example, somebody is getting life imprisonment And in Edo State, somebody is getting 12 years imprisonment because they have domesticated the act to suit their purpose. So I would think that we should move for the VAP Act to be made a federal law so that NAPTIP can prosecute in all 36 states, just like we prosecute in all 36 states for trafficking cases.
DG, last I checked, the VAP Act has been domesticated by over 17 states. So how come NAPTIP doesn't have the jurisdiction to implement in those states, aside the FCT?
Because it is now a state law. So the states prosecute through their ministries of justice, through their police forces in the state. But if it is made a federal law, just like the trafficking in persons law, NAPTIP will have jurisdiction in all 36 states.
I understand. Thanks for that clarification. Finally, DG, we haven't seen the prosecution of high-level individuals in society by the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons. Is this, force and energy that you bring to the agency, is it just for the, poor man, or are we going to see some high-profile cases and some high-profile perpetrators also prosecuted for these heinous crimes meted out against the vulnerable in our society?
You see, like I said before, it's a matter of reporting cases. When people think that they are high-profile people, they want to settle it quietly and they don't report. We can only prosecute those who are reported. But there are a few high-profile cases in terms of human trafficking and even rape that NAPTIP has, high-profile people that NAPTIP has gone after. In NAPTIP, trust me, Osasu, we don't have anybody called high-profile. Nobody is too big to be arrested. I can go in anywhere to arrest anybody, and I don't care who you are. I will arrest you and I will prosecute you. Finally, your last words to our viewers out there. Well, my last word is, please, if you see something, say something. Break the silence of culture, the culture of silence. Report all cases of rape and all forms of abuse to NAPTIP, and trust me, we will prosecute diligently. Director General of NAPTIP, thank you so much for joining me on today's program of the Osasu Show. Thank you for having me. You're most welcome. That's it on today's program. Don't forget to go on tostvnetwork.com to read news on sustainable development and current affairs across Africa. You can follow us on social media at the Osasu Show, at TOS TV Network, at Osasu Igbinedion on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. I'll see you same time, same place next week. And until then, take very good care of yourself. God bless you.
With the lockdown due to COVID-19, the rising incidences of sexual and gender-based violence is alarming. Currently, NAPTIP receives reports on cases of spousal battery and abuse, incest, rape, defilement of minors, sodomy, among others. Sexual and gender-based violence destroys lives. If you are a victim, break the culture of silence. Report to NAPTIP for immediate action. If you are not a victim, but know one, save a life by reporting, and all reports will be treated in confidence.
Report sexual and gender-based violence cases to these hotlines: 0803-220-3462, 0818-384-6635. Sexual Offenders Register Hotline, 0703-0000203. Social media platforms and iReport app. This message is brought to you by NAPTIP with support from the Rule of Law and Anti-Corruption Program, ROLAC, with funding by the European Union.
TOS TV Network mobile app is now available. You can now catch up on our breaking news, stream our programs live, watch out for the latest update on sport and politics as they unfold. You can also get notifications for our upcoming programs and events. All these on our TOS TV Network mobile app, available on Apple Store and Google Play Store. TOS TV News from Africa by Africans.